We're all set then. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Audit and Finance Standing Committee meeting of May 21st, 2025. My name is Kathy Daigle-Gammon. I'm Chair of Audit and Finance, Counselor for District 1, Waverly, Fall River, Musquodoboit Valley, and we have with us, supporting us today, our Legislative Assistant, Dorothy Maponga, Director of Finance and Management and Operations. To my left, Dave Harley, and our Legal Counsel, Chris Giddens. So we'll welcome and call the meeting to order. The Halifax Region Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and the traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. We would now ask for approval of the minutes of April 16th, 2025. Councillor Hensby, seconded by Councillor St. Amand. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Nay. Motion is carried. Thank you. Approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions. Madam Clerk, do we have any additions or deletions?
No additions or deletions have been received by the clerk's office.
Thank you. Now I ask for a motion to approve the order of business as circulated. Councillor St. Amand, seconded by Councillor Morse. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Business arising out of the minutes, there are none. Declaration of conflict of interest. Have any conflict of interest? Seeing none. Motions of reconsideration, there are none. Motions of rescission, none. Consideration of deferred business, there is none. Notice of tabled matters, there is none. Correspondence, petitions, and delegations. Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence received?
Correspondence has been received for item 1312 and circulated to the members.
Thank you. Any petitions?
No petitions have been received by the clerk's office.
Colleagues, any petitions? Nope, great. So now go to public participation. We ask for any members of the public to please keep, your comments respectful, on topic, and directed to the chair. The clerk will announce when you have 30 seconds remaining and when your time is complete for all speakers. Any member of the public who has registered with the clerk's office on this matter is given 5 minutes to address the topic. When we call your name, you can come to the microphone. After everyone on the list has been given an opportunity to speak, I'll call 3 times to ask if there are any additional speakers. So the first person on our list is Scott McKenzie.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Regrettably, I got a phone call this morning from Scott informing me that his mother passed away. Though those who may not know, that Ines McKenzie was the wife of the warden of Halifax County, Art McKenzie, and so she passed away last night. So Scott could not be here, but I did have his correspondence circulated to members of committee. I don't know if you want that read for the record or just have it circulated for committee.
Thank you. It is received. Members of the committee, would you like to have the submission read? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Hensby, and our sincere condolences to Mr. McKenzie and his family. We'll now ask if there are any members of the gallery who would like to speak for the first time. For the second time, are there members from the gallery that would like to speak? For the third and final time, is there any members in the gallery that would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on with our agenda. Our next item is information items brought forward. There are none. And so we move to reports. 13.1.1, investment activities for the quarter ending December 31st, 2024. There is no presentation, but we do have Erin McLean, Deputy Treasurer, and Vicky. Did I say Vicky? No. So, Erin McLean, though? There he is. Great. Should we have any questions for you? So I would ask members of the committee, what is your pleasure? Would you like to put the motion on the floor? Councillor St. Amand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move that the Audit and Finance Standing Committee recommend that the Halifax Regional Council approve, I'm reading the wrong one. 1311, right? That the Audit and Finance Standing Committee forward the staff report dated April 23rd, 2025 to Halifax Regional Council as an information item.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hensby. Any questions on the motion? Any questions for Aaron? Seeing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you very much. We'll move 13.1.2, the 2025-26 capital budget adjustments. Again, there is no presentation, but we do have staff present. Councillor Hensby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll put the motion on the floor that the Audit and Finance Standing Committee recommend the Halifax Regional Council 1 approve the increase of 4 2025-26 capital project budgets detailed in the financial implications section of the staff report dated April 14, 2025 for new contribution agreements awarded after budget approval with no net increase to HRM funding. 2, the transfer of funding between approved 2025-26 capital projects budgets as detailed in the financial implications section of the staff report dated April 14, 2025. 3, the budget increase to the HRFE, the Sheet Harbor Fire Station Project, CB 210018, and PR Eastern Shore Rec Center ESL Project, CB 000080, to be funded from debt financing as detailed in the financial implications section of the staff report dated April 14, 2025. And 4, the amendment to the 25-26 multi-year capital project schedule as per attachment 1 of the staff report dated April 14, 2025.
And a seconder? Councillor Gillis. Councillor Hensby, any conversation on the motion?
Yes, please. In regards to this, I assume this is a result of the tender call that was just recently done. I'd like to know just in regards to how many tenders have been received on the project, and we haven't seen the report yet on the tender award, but it's kind of curious if the prices were as anticipated to be as over and above budget. The funny thing is we announced this funding for this project 7 years ago, and since that time we've lost considerable amount of economic leverage in regards to inflation, as well as the cost from post-pandemic issues of construction. We're also probably expecting to see some rural implications here of having a project of this size being built in a rural area. Will there be a difficulty in getting a supply of labor and materials to the site? So that may be cost, that may be some mobilization costs anticipated, we did not anticipate in the budget. So in regards to that, there's those concerns, but also with the letter received today, in regards to the functionality of the space and stuff, there's still concerns about the space allocations within the building, but the biggest other concern was the parking capacity. And I know there's been motions of council to investigate opportunities to increase the parking capacity in and around the site. And I'd like to know if that has been further pursued and what is the status of, if anything can be reported on that.
Thank you, Councillor Hensby. We have Krista Nolan, Director of Asset Management here. We have Philip Deganzik, Director of Facility Design and Construction, who is coming up to the big chair. Ann Sherwood, the Director of Transportation Design and Construction, and John McPherson, Executive Director, Property, Fleet and Environment. So, Philip, it looks like you get the first question.
Good morning. Philip Deganzik, Director of Facility Design and Construction. Thank you for the question. The tender was closed on April 9th, and we had 2 bidders bid for the project. Both were over what we had expected in terms of the anticipated bid prices. We had let that tender with an expectation of $28.3 million, and we had 2 bids that were $34.2 and $36.4 million. and we are in the process of working through the award process right now. In terms of the rationale for the increase over expectation, there's a number of factors at play, some of which you mentioned in terms of global economic uncertainty, tariff risks as associated with the ongoing trade dispute, and border issues or delay. It's an extremely busy construction period, and the project itself is highly complex in terms of we have to build a new fire station adjacent to the existing, then move HRFE operations over, and then demolish the existing fire station and rebuild the new facility. So it's complex, it's phased, and that increases risk and therefore expect costs. So currently we have a plan for 64 for the rec side plus 1 accessible, and on the fire station side 18 spots. The rest of the question you ask I think is related to an in-camera item.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. I'll talk to you more privately afterwards. Thank you.
Councillor St. Amant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I have a question that's maybe a little bit more general in nature, but piggybacking off of what Councillor Hensby asked. You know, when we're factoring in some of the inflationary changes that we're experiencing with major capital projects, even with capital projects that only went to tender in February, how much capacity do we have to adjust for some of those inflationary pressures as we're going out to the tendering process, where we had an estimated construction cost here that wound up considerably under, let's say, based on what we got back for proposals. Is that a reflection of what we can expect in the future from some of the capital projects that we have yet to go out to tender? How much playing around do we wind up having to do on the planning side in order to ensure that we are budgeting appropriately for the capital projects so that we don't wind up with significant budget shortfalls that we wind up having to make up for sometime down the line? Because anytime we wind up adding costs like this to debt financing, ultimately those become operational costs in the future.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, to the Councillor, thank you for the question. In terms of this particular project, we had anticipated that because of the post-COVID global economic situation that there'd be an increase. So we did anticipate that and increased for inflation. We increased for even the location of where the project was to the tune of $4.5 million as part of the budget build for the 25-26 capital program. Unfortunately, what we didn't see coming was the tariff impact associated with the change in federal government in the United States. And those impacts are particularly significant in terms of just cost of materials and building materials and components, but also in terms of adding to uncertainty. So some of it we try to predict and we try to understand and we try to come up with reasonable expectations of what those tender and construction costs are going to be, but there is still uncertainty in that.
Does that mean that our contingencies going forward for large projects wind up being a little bit more difficult to manage?
Well, generally, when we are building the capital program, we try to understand and know the environment that our projects are going to be under. So, for instance, with this one, we knew it was going to be remote. We knew that the construction season was very busy, or the construction industry was very busy. And we tried to reflect that, and as we do for all of our projects, usually we're pretty close. We also have supports of the consultants that we engage in our projects to help us come up with those cost estimates as well for the budget purposes.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor St. Amant. Councillor Morse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to ask about a couple of the items. Dutch Village Road is looking for a $1.9 million increase. Is this on top of the 10 million or is it included in the 10 million? What's the reason for that increase? And also on the cricket facility, My understanding is cricket facilities take a fair bit of space, and I'm wondering if this is accepted and we look for a location for a cricket facility, will it preclude other uses for that space? Thank you.
Madam Chair, my name is Ann Sherwood. I'm the Director of Design and Construction in Public Works. Through you to the Councillor, the tender for Dutch Village Road has been tendered and awarded. This value shown in the report is inclusive of the existing tender. And
Why is it coming later?
Oh, that's right. Sorry, thank you. During the capital budget preparation, there was basically a typo in the book.
Okay.
Trying to find a more professional way of saying that.
All right.
So we're working with finance right now to adjust that.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Very good. Thank you. And on the cricket?
Richard Harvey, Manager of Policy and Planning with Parks and Recreation. So, to the Chair, the playing field strategy adopted by Council identified as one of its key outcomes a need for a cricket facility within the municipality, and that's been carried through our business plans. So, the Councillor is correct in citing that this is a fairly large facility. So, we are undertaking a review of potential locations within the municipality. As that has been occurring, the province has identified the assistance of $1 million by way of a grant to the municipality to assist us once that location is determined with actually building the facility and amenities that would go along with that. That's the situation.
Okay, so, but what I'm wondering is, will the location options be presented to council, or will they just be, is a location going to be chosen by staff?
There hasn't been a requirement to actually come back to council, but we can certainly, if there is to be direction around all of that, we will be consulting with councillors, where there are locations that are obvious for this to be built.
When do you expect that to come back?
We're hopeful of being able to finalize locations certainly within this business year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. There are no other councillor names on the list. Councillor Hensby, based on Philip's response to you, do you have a request to go in camera? You can wait.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Then there are no other questions. Would we call for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you so very much, everyone. We'll now move on to 13.1.3, which is an increase to project number CB Common Pool Recon and Award RFP 2024-0662, the Halifax Common Playground. Again, there is no presentation for this report, so members of the committee, would someone like to put the motion on the floor? Councillor Cleary, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the Audit and Finance Standing Committee recommend that Halifax Regional Council 1 approve the unbudgeted transfer of $200,000, net HST included, from CP2 00001 Park Recapitalization to CB2 10020 PR Halifax Common Pool Recon, and 2 award RFP 2024-0662 Halifax Common Playground request for proposals to the highest scoring proponent, Turf Masters Landscaping Limited, for $1,042,339 net of HST included, with funding from CB2 10020 PR Common Pool Recon as outlined in the financial implications section of the staff report dated March 14, 2025.
Seconded by Councillor Morse. Thank you. Councillor Cleary, any discussion on the motion?
The report's pretty self-explanatory. This came to us last year, and just because of the way the staging was, when you were trying to move a playground, I
I guess sometimes they're in good shape to move and sometimes they're not. Unfortunately, this one was not, and we got to put a new playground in. I'm glad to see the mound of dirt has been reduced, spread around a little bit on the common, as it were. But I'm looking forward to seeing the playground and the pool project finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cleary and Vice Chair. I see no other names on the list. Oh, Councillor Gillis.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just have a question of clarification for staff regarding the $1 million overage, I guess, to move the dirt and create a hill. And I'm just wondering if it's feasible to just truck the dirt out of there to save money. Is just kind of like a reason why
Thank you, Councillor Gillis.
we chose that route. Thank you.
Philip is coming back to answer that for us.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor. Thanks for the question. The actual overage that we requested additional funding and contract amendment for to move the mound of dirt was about $220,000. That mound of dirt, just to give you a bit of history, came from the excavation associated with the pool project. And it was intended to use that as part of the base and for the new playground. So we let that tender out. It was awarded. In the early phases of that project, it was determined that the amount of soil that was there, the excess soil that was contaminated, was in excess of what they needed. So there were two options. One was to truck the soil away because it was contaminated soil above Nova Scotia environment parameters for safe use, or to do what we did already on the pool project, which is to build berms and various features on the common. So that was a decision taken because the difference in cost, it would have been cost prohibitive to truck that soil away. The facilities where we would dispose of that soil would be quite distant. So it was probably a premium of about 100% higher than what the option we chose. So that was why the contract was amended to allow $220,000. And I think that that's what's now being sought to refund back into the playground.
Would the contractor not realize that before, going to look at this and, putting the bid forward?
So in terms of creating the tender, we had consultants engaged to determine how much soil was there approximately and what would be required for the base for the playground and the drainage system that go underneath. Unfortunately, those estimates were under, and there was more soil there than we expected.
Okay, thank you very kindly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Gillis. Thank you, Philip. No other names? Can we call for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Nay? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to 13.1.4, which is the Halifax Transit Dual Fuel Diesel Hydrogen Bus Demonstration. Again, we have no presentation, but we have Norman Hendry here, the Director of Transit Fleet, and Amy Siddell, Administrative Assistant, available to answer any questions. So if a member of council would like to put the motion on the floor. Councillor Morse, thank you.
I move that the Audit and Finance Standing Committee recommend Halifax Regional Council 1, approve the transfer of funds and budget increase between accounts as outlined in the financial implications section of the staff report dated April 22nd, 2025, and as follows. A, approve the transfer of $75,766 net HST included from project account CV 210011 electric bus procurement to CV 210014 transit strategies studies, and B, approve an increase to the gross budget of project CV 210014 with no impact to HRM's net budget of $443,266 net HST included to support the dual fuel hydrogen diesel bus demonstration project.
Seconded by Councillor Gillis. Councillor Morse?
I just have a few questions. Can I pose those now?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Well, welcome Norman Hendry back from his great big day yesterday. Thank you. Councillor Morse?
Thank you. I guess what I was looking for was a bit more information about efficiency with hydrogen. I note that Edmonton canceled an experiment they did with hydrogen buses, and Vancouver also canceled after trying hydrogen buses. So I'm wondering if we looked at those experiences that they had. My understanding is that hydrogen is very difficult to make more efficient than it is now, but I'm no expert on it. So I'm just looking for any background you can provide on energy efficiency as compared with battery electric. I'm hoping you can tell us a bit more about the special handling required for hydrogen fuel. And I'm concerned about, we're already into the battery electric buses. We've made quite a commitment to battery electric. We've got a huge new garage with solar panels on the roof. It's all set up for battery electric. Why would we go and experiment with another model that might also cost us in terms of retrofitting garages and that sort of thing? So I'm just trying to get a sense of where you see the costs and benefits in a bit more detail, please.
Okay, through Madam Chair to the Councillor. Thank you for those list of questions, and hopefully I've written them all down. I'll start with your question on did we look at Edmonton and Vancouver. You may not be aware, but Edmonton is actually in the process of installing a hydrogen electrolyzer facility in their Ellerslie location. I can speak to that because I came from Edmonton Transit,
Okay.
and I actually was one of the instigators, shall we say, of kicking off hydrogen investigation and testing and prototyping in Edmonton. So the project did come to a stop because of the lack of funding. It wasn't because they didn't get the right thing. And they also had impurities in the hydrogen that was being delivered. So the bus requires and I don't want to get too technical, but stop me if I do. The bus requires 99% pure hydrogen, and they had contamination in the hydrogen, so they had to stop. As I say, the electrolyzers going in is being put in by a company called Azola Hydrogen. They've also installed plants in BC, and they're doing Winnipeg Transit as well. So hydrogen is going ahead. Why are we looking at hydrogen? The battery electric bus, as good as it is, can't do everything we need it to do. There are range limitations and also on duration and time. So depending on where the bus is running and the topography, you may have heard yesterday about the regenerative braking. So when a bus is going downhill, it actually puts some energy back in to charge the batteries. I know we've got a lot of hills, but the buses run in areas where there's not a lot of hills. So if it's over the range in kilometers it can do, or it may be within the range, but it's over in the time that the bus is out there, it'll draw down the batteries. So we need to look at some other means to satisfy the demands that's being placed on transit and future demands on transit to make sure that we can get a bus to where people are to take them where they need to be. What does hydrogen do? Well, we're not going full hydrogen here. What we're doing is we're injecting the hydrogen into the diesel. And what it does in the lower revs, where a bus spends most of its time, stop, start, we've seen from Edmonton, from Strathcona, and some other trials that's been done by a company in Calgary, 69.8% reduction in carbon dioxides, approximately 75% reduction in nitrous oxides, and more importantly, a 70% saving on diesel usage. So the 4 buses we're going to be doing this demonstration project on, with the data loggers we've got on currently, we are seeing we could save 40 litres per day per bus. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's only 4 buses. But if you extrapolate 40 litres per day over 365 days, over a potential of 360 buses, that's 5.2 million litres of diesel that we don't need to burn. And then, as I say, if we take off that 70% carbon reduction, 75% nitrous oxides, it is a huge step. And to try and rationalize what a hydrogen diesel bus is, it's easy if you think of cars, because most people know cars. We've got a normal car which runs on gas or diesel. We've got hybrids, and then we've got battery electrics. And we've even got hydrogen cars out there now, because Toyota have got the Mira, which is a hydrogen car. So this is like a hybrid. Is it perfection? No. But we shouldn't let being good, perfection get in the way of being good. And this is being good. And the beauty of this is estimating, because we've got to go out to tender for the price, it's $100,000 per conversion. It is 1.6 million for a battery electric bus and around about 2 million for a hydrogen fuel cell bus. So this is a way of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, building a foundational knowledge. Does hydrogen work for us here in Halifax? And then, the training that comes with it. That with retrofits to garages, there is no need to retrofit the garage, because it's either an electrolyzer plant where we produce our own hydrogen, or we get the hydrogen transported in on pressure trailers, and then it's loaded into the buses that way. The bus will carry approximately 16 kilograms of hydrogen, so it's way less than a fuel cell bus, because it will run on diesel. And the beauty of this system, if we run out of hydrogen, the bus keeps going, because it just runs on its diesel. So we actually increase the range of a diesel bus. We've got no concerns with the range of a diesel bus, because we know it can do everything we need it to do. But with the hydrogen on it, what we are doing, as I say, we're greatly reducing those nitrous oxides and carbon dioxides.
So you've answered everything very clearly. I was just curious also about the special handling required for hydrogen.
So there are different handling protocols for hydrogen. We've been talking to, I'll call them, there's none in the room, and Halifax Fire. So we've been talking to them about what type of mitigation plans, safety plans, protocols we need to have in place. But that will be dependent on the method of the hydrogen fueling, whether we're going with a mini electrolyzer or is it a bulk fuel trailer. So that'll be part of the progress as we're going through this project.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morse. Councillor St. Amand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll follow up with a question about the handling, because it's not just the handling at the time of fueling that would be a concern. I have to imagine that Halifax Fire will wind up weighing in on any impacts to emergency services were a hydrogen bus to be in a collision, for example. The specific question that I wanted to ask was whether or not there is any, at least currently forecast, because you haven't gone through the testing process yet, but surely in looking at other jurisdictions that have gone through something similar, you may already have an answer to this. Is there any impact at all to the lifespan of a converted hydrogen diesel bus as compared to their conventional counterpart? Does it extend the life at all, or is it exactly the same because it's largely burning the same fuel? It just has an additive that winds up being considerably more ecologically friendly and more fuel efficient.
Councillor, so great questions. And so yes, Halifax Fire have been involved with us. They will help us develop the protocols, as I say, and also the supplier of the hydrogen, because it starts from the minute they load it onto the trailer to the delivery to the dispensing. So there's different things there. Life cycle, it actually is better for the engine than just running pure diesel, because the hydrogen, because it uses diesel to ignite the hydrogen, it heats up more, it cleans the cylinders, and what they're finding during testing is the diesel particulate filters, we got to change them depending how the bus is running, sometimes every year, we don't need to clean them because the engine is running so clean and it's reducing the amount of diesel that's being burnt, the engine lasts longer. Yeah, it's, does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Councillor?
absolutely. Yeah. It's encouraging to hear that there's another positive side effect to taking that approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor St. Amant. I see no other councillor on the list. We'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Opposed, nay. One opposed. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. We move on to item 13.1.5. Excuse me, the one-time withdrawal. Excuse me. One-time withdrawal from the options reserve Q421 for year 10, 25-26 funding for the Halifax mobile food market. Again, we have no presentation, but Dave Hurley beside me is going to answer any questions that may come up. So is there a councillor that would like to put the motion on the floor?
See if I can read it. Thank you, Madam Chair. All right, the motion is that the Audit and Finance Committee recommend that Halifax Regional Council approve a one-time unbudgeted withdrawal. Oh, wait, no, I'm reading the wrong one. No, that's right. Withdrawal from the Options Reserve Q4 2021 to fund $175,700 for year 10 of the mobile fuel market, MFM, as approved by Halifax Regional Council on March 25th, 2025, and outlined in the attached staff report dated May 4th, 2025.
Seconded by Councillor Cleary, was it? Yes, thank you. I see no names on the list for questions, so will we call for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. We now move on to item 14 of our agenda. Motions, there are none in camera. Thank you, Councillor Hensby. Thank you, Councillor Cleary. Call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Nay. For those opposed, the motion is carried. Added items, there are none. Notices of motion. Any notices of motion? Seeing none, the date of our next meeting is June 18th, 2025, and we'll ask for a motion to adjourn. And we are adjourned at 10:39. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day.